Did you really?
Twice.
On
And
purpose?
I did it myself. Yeah, I got a Whopper, and then you get the Impossible Whopper.
Yeah.
And you have to be pretty careful not to look at it, but you take a bite of one, you take a bite of the other, and you're like, they're close, but this one is juicier. This one has a little more better flavor. And both times I've been right.
Well, that's the one thing, because when you have a Burger King taste test, if you vomit equally, it's very hard to tell at
No,
Burger King.
A Whopper is a great burger. Don't you dare knock the Whopper.
I had one experience with Burger King, which basically kicked me off of Burger King for most of my life, which was I had a burger. This was at the Salem Burger King. The Salem, down there in Salem, Utah, they have one that's connected to like a Chevron. It used to be like the only game in town.
Oh,
And so I went in there one day for lunch at work, and I had it. I just remember the lettuce and the condiments were so hot. They were like, it was just like, I was like, this is just hot ketchup and lettuce. And then I went to the bathroom and just heard this guy just, like, I'm at the urinal. He just shits up a storm. He flushes the toilet and then walks right and then walks right through the bathroom without washing his hands back to Burger King where he worked. And I was just...
You can never separate the two again.
Well,
that is just the death knell for that retail chain.
Sometimes I go there and I probably hit Burger King maybe once a year, but it's not something that it's something I will drive past. That is for sure. If it's like some little town and the only thing is Burger King, I might have Burger King. I'm not going to turn it down, but their tacos aren't Jack in the Box tacos, and sometimes a Whopper can be good, but
I find that Burger King for me is one of those places that I have to go to every once in a while to remind myself why I don't go to Burger King. It is not good.
But the one thing about Beyond is because they have like the Beyond Meat at Del Taco. So my daughter is a part-time student and then works part-time at Del Taco. And every time they order the fake Beyond burrito or whatever, she has to go and tell them, this is not real meat. And then they go like, oh, it just looked good. Yeah, never mind.
Well, that was like when the pandemonium all kicked off and everybody was like crazy and buying all the toilet paper and you couldn't find anything. Like you'd go to the meat section and we were sitting there and we're looking at it and all of the meat is gone except for this little tiny section where all the fake meat is, like all the Beyond Meat and the Impossible stuff. And it's like, it just gave me this point. It's like, no matter how bad things get, I mean, we were talking end of days on the early point of COVID.
Yeah,
people still won't eat that shit.
Well, the one thing that it's true is like they have like stuff that they try to like put in it to make it look like juicier and like bloodier. Like sometimes like you hear about them talking about that. It's like, I don't even like blood in my real meat. Like I don't want to do it. I remember sitting across from Evan Woolley when we went up to like go shoot IDBA, and Evan's like, I like it blue, and they're like, sir, we have to warm it. We have to warm it up to a temperature because we have a business license and a food license, and we have to warm this meat. And then he would just eat like a raw steak.
He was just arguing with him. And then finally, like they come out with a form and says, please sign this. In case of death, you agree not to sue us.
Yeah. Donitza just brought me her phone, and it has the Babylon Bee on it. And the joke is the Babylon Bee, Burger King required all workers to show proof of hepatitis A vaccine.
Awesome.
Yeah. Anyways, welcome to the PARAcast. I'm your host with the most and kind of a stomach issue right now, but whatever. Anyway, it's Sunday, and it's time for a new episode of the PARAcast. So joining me tonight, he defines a man by his high miles per gallon vehicle, a manual indexing press, iron sights, and shoplifting cheap beer. It's Steve Koski.
I mean, 3 out of 4 ain't bad. I like that.
Is that a can of Natty Ice in your pocket, or are you just happy to see me? Both, baby. It's a good Saturday.
That's scary, Tom. I think you know me a little too well.
And he's the human version of canned meat. Something strange and off with Robert Wyatt.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how to really respond to that, but I am a little bit off.
So
I'm
let's.
not sure if you have the video going,
Ooh,
but
yeah, I
there is
do.
the natty ice.
The natty
I was on
ice.
this for a while, but I think I'm going to try and sip on one of these during the show.
And you got your beer cozy.
And I got the koozie thing.
At this point, I mean, should we get you a lawn chair?
Yes.
that goes up with the Veridesk.
And some
Ideally,
skull.
one of those 1980s style with the vinyl slats in it. Yeah, get it at the Kmart.
Yep.
That's the high
the
point
nylon
of life.
webbing. The nylon webbing.
Leave it out in the sun a little too long. Sit down and think, sweet mother of God.
We went out. We shot a match. I think all of us shot a match. Steve went up to IDPA, and he shot.
Tom and I were trying to coordinate rides, and then we realized the next day that we were going to different matches.
It's like, wait,
okay,
are you?
That wasn't going to work anyway.
I was the first guy signed up on our squad for a USPSA, and then Steve asked me, "Well, are we even on the same squad?" I was like, "Well, I don't know because I was the first person to sign up on the squad. So if you sign up after me, I haven't checked. So whatever." And then I was planning on meeting my family. Like at IKEA was the original plan to like meet them on the way down. So I was like, "Oh, I'm not carpooling." And then so it was just Steve calls me, and then we kind of realized, oh, we're going to 2 separate matches. Okay. Well, have a good match. Have a good match, and then be on our way. But yeah, we went out there. Me and Robert shot USPSA. We shot CO, and I don't know how many shooters shot CO.
I think the overwhelming majority of the match.
Yeah, and so
it was. Yeah, everything else is dead. They just don't know it yet.
So we went out there, shot it. I shot the first match and probably the first 100 and so rounds out of the Beretta 92, the Centurion. The Taylor Freelance magazines and base plates worked fantastic, so they didn't have any problem. The gun ran great, and just a couple hiccups there on the USPSA match. But man, I had some takeaways from
almost half. 28 out of it looks to be 65 shooters were carry optics.
And in the IDPA match, it was 15 out of 38. So
wow.
what, 40% or something like that.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, it is the way it's going. But yeah, we went out there, shot it. It was a fun match, and it had a lot of fun stages. It wasn't. There was some harder stuff in the first part of the match, and the later stages were pretty hosey, but it was still a good time. But yeah,
what was the hard stuff?
What was the hard stuff?
There wasn't any hard stuff at that match last week, and they left up the same walls, so I don't know what they did to make it hard.
There were some 20-yard shots. There were some farther shots than what it looked like when I first walked the stages. But yeah. it was a definitely kind of one of the higher round count stages matches we've shot in a while.
Yeah. I mean, you would think this was like the height of 2019 or something like that, the way that we were just cooking rounds out. I mean, you had 32 rounds in a hose fest, which was fun. It was awesomely fun, but it's
Wait
still.
a minute.
It's a
you
lot
shot
of
it and you don't know what the hard parts were, Robert?
Well, nothing's hard for me.
There were no hard parts for you.
There were no hard parts whatsoever.
Please, nobody look at those 2 mics I had during the match.
And possibly the third one he got away with. And so we went through. We shot
it. That thing. I got a picture of that, but it was pretty much a perfect double. It was close. It was just slightly oblong.
That's what they all say.
Doesn't matter. I got it. But what did I do? I said I'd like an overlay, and then I walked away, and that was that.
Well, you did drop the line of, "I know what it is, and I can tell you, but I won't." What's the shooter supposed to say? What is that like? Well, what is it then? Well, he never's gonna say it's a miss. Oh, I clearly missed that. Moving on. Drop an overlay. Moving on.
I got a picture of it because I was like, oh, we got to take it. And the same with who was it? Mike Pine he shot right on the edge. So there's a picture up on the Facebook page, up on the Utah USPSA page that I posted of it. But he actually shot right on the edge of the black tape that was the tuxedo. And when you initially look at it, it doesn't look like it broke it, but if you were to overlay it, you'd be like, okay, this thing clearly broke. The funny thing about it was an Alpha Charlie, because they kept the black
On the
just
inside of the
slightly to
line.
the right
Yeah.
of the line. And so, I mean, Alpha Charlie's better than an Alpha Mike any day of the week, but
So stuff we catch you up on last time. I got that double alpha case feeder in the Dylan, and it's really nice. It's unlike the Dylan case feeder where you would have like 1, 2, and then like 2 or 3 spaces in between. One drops and another one drops. The Dylan's pretty much the opposite of that, which is like 3 or 4. Then you have 2 go by, then another 3 or 4. So it feeds them, and it's pretty fast. So it's obviously faster than I can reload on a 650. I mean, I can't outrun the standard one, but it was nice.
did you feel like you were? Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, I've never been in a position where it felt like I was overrunning the Dylan case feeder.
No, the one thing was I had to buy a 45 caliber one. The nice thing about the double alpha one is not only is it faster and picks up more brass, but it's also universal from 45 ACP and down.
Mm-hmm.
So you have one pistol plate to sit there and run all the brass in. So that ran great. Yes, things that kind of messed up on the match. I lost the dot twice. Like, lost the dot pretty hard twice, and one was a transition from pretty much not 180 degrees, but let's say like 130 degrees. And when I moved the dot over, I'm always like, if you can't find the dot's down, and then you would look down and it wasn't down, and then I was down and too far to the left. So basically, I have to practice wider transitions because I basically overswung the muzzle of the gun. So instead of having the dot there, it was like this, because I went this way and the gun was kind of like that, and then I was like down.
You're over gripping it.
Over gripping it, whatever. Gone through it, and then to try to make times with everybody else, I have to split the trigger faster. I just have to shoot faster, and so now the practice has to be wider transitions and not to grip so damn hard with my strong hand, so I can actually press the trigger a little bit faster, because I found myself kind of death gripping the gun, trying to run it, and then not able to pull the trigger as fast.
What were your split times?
I have no idea what my split times was, but you got a picture of me with 2 cases right next to each other in midair, and the second one about to come in. I mean, I was trying to keep up with Robert's split times. I was literally trying to keep up.
Then you're going to have to keep up with his mics too.
Well, I almost did. Listen,
you did?
I had one mic for the day, but I also clipped a double alpha no shoot, which was like, whatever.
I mean, 2 alpha no shoot isn't the worst thing that's ever happened.
Yeah, but that run that you actually picked up the no shoot, that thing was a pretty damn good run right up to that point. I mean, it was. Yeah. You were smoking on that. I mean, your times were good.
Well, and the one thing too is the only thing that really dragged me down on that thing was that damn plate rack. It was that inline plate rack. I had to shoot 12 rounds at it, and I was hitting the damn plates every single time, trying to get them to go down faster. Go down faster. Go down faster. With my 140 power factor ammo, it just.
What is your problem? Why wouldn't they fall?
I don't know. Maybe I was hitting them low. Maybe I was hitting them too high.
You were hitting them. You were hitting them low.
You were hitting the splash plate. That's what you're doing.
Because I mean, I shot those things and went, I think, 1 for 1 on them. Yeah. But I've now shot it enough that it's like aim high and stay high as much as you can, and it's always hard to do that. But because you can double tap the first one. And get it going faster, and then try and pick everything up. But
yeah, it was just a fun time. My hatred for the loophole Delta Point Pro has subsided a little bit. I mean, it's. I mean, I am still kind of battery sensitive about it. I turned it on max, and I left it on max the whole day. And it was a great picture, and the window was great to sit there and shoot through. And so I will just keep getting used to it because I can't take it off the firearm. And so I'll just keep shooting it.
That's right.
So I will just keep shooting it, but it's
Remind everyone what's going on. You stripped the head of a screw out or something?
So and I'll put it up here on the cameras. Hopefully both cameras can see this. So this plate's very thick. and it's made out of aluminum.
Oh.
And so what happens is, to maximize the strength of the screws, they make the threads very fine. So you have more threads into the
Right.
aluminum, right, to distribute the force. And so anyway, they have this thread locker that they put on it, but because there's so many threads and there's so much thread locker, it's basically cement. And then they didn't put Torx heads at the top; they put hex heads. And then so that screw is not going to stand up to the force that's required to taking it off with all that
Have you
stuff
tried
underneath
it?
I tried it. The problem is you try it a little bit, especially when you have something like the fat wrench. The fat wrench it's a fat wrench. You know why that thing's fat? Is so you can grip on it and turn on it. And so you grip on, you turn it on, you're like, it's okay, it's going to loosen it, and then it slips. And then it's not the good slip, it's the, oh no, I've stripped
I just rounded the head
I
off.
just rounded the head.
You're spinning inside the head. You need to put that on an impact gun.
Get my
Just watch the dot zero go like this. There's one thing adults with ADD don't need, and that's an impact driver. You're like, well, I could drill and tap this and put it in correctly, or I can use shear force of the impact driver.
Is the impact driver, is that like the modern Dremel tool? Like the way to just really screw up things?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, that's the one thing is like, I'll put this on, and instead of using a screw gun, I'll use an impact driver, and it shears and tears everything. Like literally, I've snapped the heads off of bolts trying to power them through with an impact driver. The sheer force of that thing will tear the head off a bolt right from the screw on the base. So yeah, they're not to be messed around with. But yeah, I had a fun time, and then I signed up for Jared's Not a Cop match in April. So we'll see if I shoot a match in between now and April, but definitely will be practicing. Do love it. It was a fun match. I even brought the chrono, and we chronoed some of the competitors' ammo while we were waiting for the biggest field course we had of the day. And we got there, and they just started their first shooter, so we had plenty of time. So we went out there and chronoed, and there might have been a competitor's ammo who that didn't meet the snuff.
Was it yours?
No, it was not mine.
Oh, okay.
Mine's been consistently like 135 power factor. This guy had an 80 feet per second deviation, like on his stuff, and the high stuff was like the stuff that got him to 125.
That sounds like unique.
Well,
long shot
powder.
A long shot?
Yeah.
So
That stuff's kind of fluffy, and I mean you have to put so much of it into it. I can see how you would get deviation on stuff.
Well, and long shot is made for heavy loads. It's not made for plinking ammo. If you're using long shot, use a lot of it and make major.
Yeah.
Or minor. You can make minor. That would be helpful too.
That's the book load. Back in the day, I had some of those loading 40. There was a load for a book load for 165 grain bullets at like 1350.
Oof.
And I might be exaggerating that, but I loaded up carefully. I followed all the rules, chronographed them, and you shoot those, and you're just like, "Ow, that's stung." It's like 165 grain bullet out of a 9mm frame pistol at 1,300 feet per second. Like,
What is that cowboy powder? It's like Trail Boss or something like that, where it's like if you're trying to develop a load, just fill up the case, scrape a little bit off the top, and like tamp a bullet down in there.
I mean, it's probably Trail Boss or Unique.
Something like that.
Well, that was what was so fun about learning to load with Unique, is that you could never double charge a case because there's no volume for it. So
5.5 grains of Unique fills the 9mm case.
Yeah,
That's actually
They're all compressed loads.
When I was going out to learn how to do it, I didn't have anybody to talk to. The guy I was talking to at the store, the salesman, he's like, you should try Unique because if you're learning on 9mm, you can't double charge it. And I'm like, that sounds like a pretty dang
and
good
40
advice.
and 45. I mean, seriously, that's burn a pound or two of that and then graduate to something else without blowing your gun up.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
It's not a bad way
totally.
to start.
I'm putting
I was grateful. I mean, the advice was solid, and I used it for 3 or 4 pounds of powder. So I've still got tons of Unique because, I mean, just in terms of pure versatility, it's hard to beat Unique. The stuff just works.
Yeah. Especially if you want to get to the higher end on some 9mm cartridges, it's pretty good for that. I was just downstairs earlier today loading 5.5 grains of tight group into a 45 case. You have to like look down there and go like click, click, click.
Hello.
Hello, we in there? All right, we're
Hello,
in there.
hello.
It's the most babyest powder in those big old cases. So I was even I went and I bought a Dylan taper die today, taper crimp die, just because the Lee one inside the Dylan press isn't as great as.
Oh
it used
yeah, the lead's not great for that. It's really not. I mean the way that
What?
that the
They're-
lead.
they're
Well,
too
I
short.
run the
Steve,
Lee taper crimp dies.
no,
in
Steve.
all my
Steve, you're
pistol
not.
cutters.
You're not the same. Okay, you're using a single stage.
Oh,
The way
okay.
the way it. But when it automates in the taper crimp dies for the RCBS and the Dylan, it has this kind of it kind of is a little funnel
it's a wider
so that
mouth.
it comes up and it opens up a little bit easier, where the Lee is very straight walled in, and it works fantastic for like the turret presses, the 550 stuff like that. There's
Okay.
none issue in the world, but for some reason that little bit of a flared opening
Yeah,
really helps to get the bullet kind of not cockeyed so much. It doesn't hang up nearly as bad.
It's basically the Dylan powder die mixing with the Lee crimp die. They just don't work. I mean, I have no problem with my Lee taper crimp die with my Lee powder die. As far as expansion, it's just that the mouth doesn't really like the bell that
Yeah.
the Dylan's putting it on, and two, the little short Lee screws. I mean, I got that thing hanging on by like half of a nut on the
Oh,
top
you
of the thing.
just get rid of those things and just buy Dylan screws. That's what, or Dylan.
No, I have
You
the
either
Dylan
use
nuts.
the Dylan nuts
I have
or
the
you
Dylan nuts.
flip the Lee nuts over so that the threads are against the tool head,
Yeah.
rather than you having that little spacer and the rubber grommet. Flip
Yeah.
it over.
Oh, that
Then you
works.
have aluminum on aluminum, and it works just fine.
Oh, right
But
on.
the Dylan's a good solution too. I think I'm using Dylan on most of mine.
Well, one time I was like, "Hey, what's a good way of lighting $25 on fire?" And it's like, "Buy 20 Dylan or lock rings." And it's like, "Okay, let's do that." So now I got all the lock rings I'll ever need for that thing. But anyway, Robert, your impressions of the match?
I thought the match was great. I mean, it's the first slips of match I've shot since I came back from Georgia in September. And no, the weather was great. I mean, at this time of year, that's kind of always the big deal for me. Is it going to be warm? Yes. Okay, I'll come. But I was actually surprised. I was surprised that I shot well-ish. I mean, okay, it was okay, but I was surprised. I thought I'd be a lot worse than I was for not having shot a gun in months.
Yep.
But I think the stages were fun. They were a little bit round count high, which it is what it is. That was the one that we backed up on. I mean, that was a fun stage, but I think they probably should have thought about that a little bit better from a match flow standpoint. Just trying to get all that to work, it is a little bit.
By the time we finished, there was 2 stages, 2 squads behind us.
Was there a bunch of activators or stuff?
One
Something that was going
activator,
down?
just huge field course.
Oh, okay.
It was a big field
with, like,
course,
7 positions.
lots of targets all over the
Oh, yeah,
place.
yeah.
And the stage previous to that was a class fire, even
Yeah.
though it was all the way down over on the other side of the range. It just happens. That's kind of, and that's the hard thing, is that bay is uniquely good for setting up some bigger stages, but the caveat is that sometimes you're going to have backups there, and that's what happened. But it was okay. I mean, we got there, and I went and helped them all reset targets, stuff like that. While I actually didn't know that you guys went and chronographed, Tommy.
Yeah, I messed around with Jared Stepp's Flux Defense brace for the SIG P320, which is pretty sweet, where you have
that thing is cool.
the little thing, and then you press the button and it kicks out of stock, and then you get the with your little pistol and shoot stuff at 100 yards. And yeah, we just I was like, all right, I brought the chrono, and then you start talking, and then the new shooter's like, well, what's that thing do? I was like, well, this is a chronograph. It tells you how fast your bullets are going. What's a power factor? That's the how much energy basically your bullet has to carry to be legal for shooting USPSA. And so we shot the XD through the chronograph, and the guy's Gray Ghost machining Glock through the chronograph, and it was fun. They were just like, they were just happy to be there, so it was fun. So
Thursday. Oh, go ahead.
But even the new guys, the very brand new first match guys, guess what division they're shooting?
Carry optics.
Carry optics. They're showing, the guy showed up with a SIG XDM9
with a
Springfield XDM9.
Yeah,
But
sorry.
yeah,
Yeah. So what did I say?
SIG.
SIG.
That's okay.
Sorry.
I got you as soon as you said the model. I
Sorry.
remember that day.
XDM9 with the Vortex Venom. So even the new people are just hopping into CO full force.
Oh yeah. Well, we had the new shooter match on. We started the new shooter match back up again, and what was it? I think 7 out of the 10 people there, if I remember right. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Everybody was shooting carry optics now.
Wow.
It's just where the world is going.
I think 2 out of the 4 new shooters at the IDPA match were shooting CO. One of them could actually hit things. The other one just mashed the living shit out of the trigger, and God only knows where those bullets went. I mean, I'm sure he saw the dot, but
hopefully they caught the berm.
Here is the dot on the target. Here's where the bullet went after you mashed the crap out of the trigger.
Here are your bullets, 14 inches below where the dot was.
Well, you would imagine when you would sit there and you'd go to the gun store and you're like getting into firearms, and because they all have dot guns that are available for people to pick up, and they go like, oh yeah, you just put that dot on there and then you hit what you're shooting at.
It's like the laser of death.
It's like a laser. That sounds like my speed.
No one could mess this up, could they?
Yeah, and they're like, and it's twice as much. And they go like, okay, but I really want to hit stuff with my gun. And then they go, sure. And then well, a lot of them probably don't. A lot of them probably just spend the money on the Vortex or something that's $200-$300, throw it on the gun, and then head on out.
Yeah. This poor guy's warm-up stage. There was 5 in the body, reload,
stage.
3 in the head.
Oh, it's great. And they're fun. They're fun. They just put out a target and they have you do like a standards drill. It's fun.
This one was a target at 12 yards. You hold a credit card at eye level in your strong hand. You drop the credit card, you draw, you put 5 in the body. The gun runs empty. You reload, you put 3 in the head. Well, 2 of this guy's 3 headshots were in the down 0 zone of the body. Yeah. Sorry, bud.
The one thing I never get to see is it's never as consistent. So like if you tell them to put 3 in the body, they'll put like 3 in the bottom of the down 0, or maybe like in the 1. But when they go to the head, it drops like another 8 inches when they flinch and it goes into the down 0. It's like, I want to see like 3 shots in the down 0 and like 5 shots in the crotch. That's what I want to see. Like I want to see some consistency here.
That's kind of what was going on.
As soon as
we're like, well, we'll give them we'll give them the best possible score we can.
So how did your match?
Meant to shoot those.
How did your match go?
Sorry. Oh, I was just gonna ask how many people showed up at the IDPA match. So go ahead, Steve.
There was 38 people at the match. I was so excited to go shoot a match with Tom until we're both driving up, and I call him and we figure out that we're not driving to the same match. So that really sucked. But thank goodness I was on a stage with Lennon Stonebreaker, who's a masterclass shooter. So I got to pace with him all day, and I beat him he beat me on 4 out of the 6 stages. I barely beat him by like a 1/10 of a second on the warm-up stage. And then he had one stage where I think he didn't fire. It was a 3 per target stage, and I think he only fired 2 at a target. It's a big array, and he got screwed up and somehow only fired 2 at it. So he got a down 5 and then a procedural error for not firing the required number of rounds. And that gave me that 8 seconds worth of penalties gave me a 2-second win for the match. He was just like every stage, half a second, second and a half, 2 seconds, just like pulling away from me because he's younger, a little faster on his feet, and he's a good shooter.
That's funny because
it was fun to shoot with him. If I can't shoot with you, Tom, God damn you.
that's the great thing about IDPA is like, hey, remember all that hard work you did for the last 4 stages? And they're like, yeah. I was like, guess what? It's gone. Thank you very much. Moving on now.
Well, and so in IDPA, it's so easy with the time plus scoring. It's so easy to tell. The same thing happens in USPSA. It's just that with the hit factor scoring, it's not quite as obvious how much.
Yeah, but
you just stepped in.
If you, let's say you have a bad stage and it's like a 60-point or 70-point stage, and you're 5 seconds off the pace, right? You're like, darn it. But at least it wasn't worth as many stage points. It's just like every second's equal distance in an IDPA match. So it's like if you're 5 seconds off the pace on the short stage, guess what? You're 5 seconds off the pace through the entire match.
Well, I thought I was trailing you all day, Tommy.
You might have been till I got to that last part of it, but it was fun. I gotta get to.
So wait a minute, what happened?
Match.
Who won between you two?
Well, Robert got me by 6%.
A little bit.
Wait. All right, I'm looking it up.
So Robert got me by about 6%. Our first stage, or like our first couple stages, I think I shot a little bit better than Robert. I had a stage where I lost the dot, had a stage where I hit a mic, and then I was like first and second up on some longer stages. And it's just I don't have the CO experience that Robert does. Like little things that won't trip Robert up nowadays, that those things will trip me up. I will have
Yeah,
a
we talked about that. Like there was, well, it would have been our last stage. You were like, I'm just gonna go and like, shoot here, standing here, and I'm like, no, Tommy, if you're not moving, you're behind the pace.
yeah
And I was right, wasn't I?
yeah.
I was totally right.
Well, yeah. I mean, you have to be moving, and you have to sit there and split the trigger. Whether or not which angle you take to a target sometimes can or cannot matter. But the main thing is like there, the level in which you need to shoot the gun is very much open pace.
It is open pace.
Yeah.
And I mean, you have to, I mean, it's hard for a production shooter and a production shooter's mentality. And Dave Blanton, I mean, God bless the man. When we shot, what was it, Area 3 together, he's the one who really pointed it out to me more than anything, was like, you are coming into these positions, stopping, and then firing the gun. He's like, you've got to be shooting your way into it and shooting your way out of every single one of them. And maybe I was just in a place to listen to him one day, but I've tried to actually do that. I'm not perfect at it by any stretch of the imagination, but it's the same as when Matt Walkie's like, you're looking at the dot. Sometimes when somebody says something to you, it just hits you right, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna listen to this person.
I learned today.
Yes.
If you're not borderline endangering the other members in your squad, you're not shooting fast enough. Anyways, if you would like to not endanger them with your gear, head on over to dominatedefense.com, where you can get safe, effective, and protective equipment for all the people in your squad and for yourself. DominateDefense.com. Use the coupon code PARA10 to save 10% off your carry belt or your speed belt, your Mach 1 speed belt, which is fantastic. And then head on over to PrecisionHolsters.com. You can use promo code PARA10 also, and you can save 10% off a Precision Holsters fast holster, and then GallupBolts.com, PewPro10 saves you 10% off your first email's first order. And then you can do Robert was shooting some fancy blue bullets yesterday.
Yes.
Weird. Not the company blue bullets, but new prototype gallons. And then also Telegram.com. Ask us questions. We answer it there. You can search PARAcast. You'll find us.
Tell us about these blue bullets.
They're
Are we not supposed to talk about
Can I tell you about them?
They're
No, we
139
can't.
grain. They're the new 139 grainers.
They're extra lubed up to get that little bit more power factor, so it'll take your 138 power factor to 139. It's actually really simple. The company's looking at, so everybody's using a high-tech coating. It's very, very common. They come in the same colors. It goes through, to get a high-tech, to get that powder, you have to get it through a certain U.S. distributor. There are other companies that are selling the components necessary to make coatings, and so we've kind of just been experimenting, and I've been running a lot of just experimental bullets just to see how they've been working, and so far they're working great. The beauty of it is that you can kind of get them in darn near any color under the rainbow, and so we brought in this. It was a military green color, and then almost a cop blue color. And so we've just been experimenting and playing around with those, just see how they run out of the gun, stuff like that. But
Cool.
they run just fine. So I think if everything continues the way that hoping to, I'll probably switch over soon.
I was researching Russian green tracer 9mm ammo online. I would like to get some of that for USPSA.
What?
Yeah, they have.
Well,
they
it's
have tracer
great
9mm ammo.
because the bullet goes through the target, and then it like just burns its way through. So it's like, did he get one alpha or did he get two? I don't know. The target's gone. Let's give him everything.
I would just like to. Listen. I want to shoot a night match with a dot on my gun, green tracer ammo, and like a laser light combo on the bottom.
Have you been playing Call of Duty, or what brought this up?
Oh, Escape from Tarkov. So yeah,
Okay,
you got it. Some
I knew
guy,
this is video game inspired.
some
I was
guy
gonna say
was
I've been playing Call of Duty, but it's more along the lines of no Russian.
some guy was shooting at me, and I'm like, what the hell is all this green laser stuff? And then I was sitting there looking at it. It's like, oh, okay. And then I popped up because everything on there's been real, and you pop up there and you look out their GT Green Tracer, Russian Green Tracer 9mm ammunition, and so it was pretty interesting.
Well, if you get a box, get one for me too.
Yeah, that will
That would be fun.
That will be some interesting stuff. Like I just wanted like 1 and 3 tracer, like tat 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 tat, and like talk about making zeroing fun and easy with your with your dot.
What do you guys think about the new 30 Super Carry from Federal?
30 super carry. All
30
right,
super
hold.
carry.
What the hell? 30 super.
So, apparently Federal came out with a new cartridge called 30 Super Carry, which, if you're not looking very close, looks very similar to what they used to call the Tokarev, which it's disturbingly similar. And it's a lighter weight bullet, runs a little bit faster. I think it's like 1250, 1300 feet per second. You can put more rounds into a magazine. That's
more capacity than a 9mm, more effective than a 380. So it's kind of splitting the difference there.
Yeah, it I don't know. It's hard to me. It seems like at this point in time, when everybody's like, I need 9mm, not some brand new cartridge that nobody's going to hear of in like 2 years. It's basically the 224 Valkyrie. You know, they come out with something. Is it going to stick? Probably not. But you're going to go and get a bunch of people to buy it, and then eventually it'll go away, just like 224. That's my take on it. I don't see with all these new carry guns being able to hold 12 rounds. I can put 2 more rounds into it, but a certain
and because
point,
so many shootouts are like 12 rounds long, aren't they?
Yeah, that's exactly.
Usually,
it.
if you got a gun and you've got 3 rounds, like you've done enough.
Yeah.
Well, like it's trying to match the performances of 9mm and a smaller gun, correct? That's what they're trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know that the 9mm one is like 10% bigger, and guess what it comes with? 9mm ballistics
and 9mm ammo prices.
Yeah. So, I mean, if this thing was, if this thing was like, if it was like, hey, we've been squirreling around here, we managed to make a 9mm bullet that will work in your 9mm handguns that has 40 caliber, 180 grain performance, you'd be like, F yeah, thank you. Thank you for your service, Federal Ammunition. We needed that. But it's like a whole new caliber to breach the wide chasm between 380 and 9mm. And essentially those guns that you can just stack together. I mean, you get slightly larger size, but it's like, and that's only for auto pistol, because in the revolver, you can just, the 9mm seems like you can just put 9mm in the revolvers and have those run better than the revolver cartridges that are available for them.
So from Federal's website, they talk about 380, 99, 100 grain. They're saying 1,030 feet per second. I'd like to know which 5-inch 380 they're shooting that out of.
They got a special proof barrel that's 16 inches long.
Shoulder mounted.
Demo guns a 6-inch 1911 with a special barrel. It's like, okay.
Then they're claiming their 30 super carry 100 grain bullet does 1250, so that's a fair amount faster. Pretty much the same weight compared to like a 9mm Luger. Shock 2, 124 grain at 1150. So I mean, it's curious, but
yeah, but that's the thing. 1250 with a 100 grain bullet, we're looking at 125 power factor, which is what 140 is standard, is generally standard 9mm factory. So you're knocking 15 off of that. I just don't see. I don't see what the real. Like, I've been wrong on a lot of things in life.
Well, it's exactly what you said. It's the Tokarev. It's the in-between round. They're hoping to find a niche.
Yeah.
Sell some ammo and sell some guns, and who knows if they will, because it's a pretty small niche.
Well, and I mean, realistically, what they're going to end up doing, they're going to get all of the YouTube blowhards and influencers to go and like pimp it out and say, "Oh, this thing's the greatest thing ever. It'll be the next O-Light," and then it'll be gone.
What's the O-Light?
The flashlight company.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they paid all the influencers to talk it up, and then people are like, "You guys are a bunch of shills," which is fine. I mean, people do whatever they want. I just always have a hard time because to me it's one of those things where it's like, there are graveyards of bodies put there by the lowly 9mm.
What was that revolver
think we're really-
cartridge? The
327. They had the 327.
the 327 Federal.
Federal?
Yeah, exactly.
But that one actually has a niche. I mean, they're still making that cartridge and they're still making guns for that.
How old is it? Is it a new cartridge?
Oh,
I
it's
don't really
12,
know.
it's 10,
12 years
like that.
old. Something like
What
that.
about there's one called 40, was it 41 Magnum? Is that it seems nichey to me because I haven't really ever heard of it, but that's not saying anything.
41 Magnum was popular enough. I mean, you can still buy it and load for it.
Yeah.
And they still produce revolvers in it. But yeah, that's. I mean,
What's that stupid weird little caliber that Coco has in that little subgun that he's got, like 25 ACP, some weird thing like
you
that?
can have 25
32?
ACP. Yeah, the 327 Federal Magnum Ruger
Yeah.
will take all the other 32 ammunition. When I go out in chrono ammunition with Alex, it's always fun to shoot the little J frames because he's got an assortment of them and the little guns. He's like, I like service size 9mm. He likes little guns you can put in your pocket. But it's always like when he's shooting like a 125 grain bullet and it's going like 650. I cannot help but just feel like it's like this is the most anemic crap out there. It's like 125 going 650. It's like, or like 550, 650, 700. It just seems really, really light. But
Well, and I mean Alex and Nate both spoke to this, and I'm kind of in your camp, Tommy. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, you have holdout guns because they're holdout guns, but from Alex and Nate's perspective, they're like, well, these are get out of trouble guns. You're not gonna go and like take on the mall shooters with these crappy guns. You're trying to get away from
This
things.
isn't a fighting gun. This isn't a gun you bring to a fight.
Yeah.
This is a gun you bring when you really don't expect to be in a fight and you're running for your life.
Yes.
So the 327 Federal Magnum, Tom, you nailed it. It's 2008.
Oh wow.
So
pretty close. Yeah, that one gives you an extra bullet. That's the deal with that gun and that caliber. It gives you like 357 ish with an extra round in the chamber, so you could in a revolver, so you could get that. I don't know. I will not. I'll tell you what. I will change my mind when Keltec makes a 34 round little pistol caliber thing. They'll take this cartridge and they'll make some like little machine gun thing with it, and then we'll be like, that's pretty cool.
The interesting thing about Super Carry that could actually give it legs is the book load does say 125 power factor, so you could potentially shoot USPSA with it.
Oh,
It's a minor load if you have, if it chronos properly out of your barrel.
It has to be a 9mm. 9mm is the smallest caliber you can use.
You can't shoot 30. You can't shoot.
No, I think
30,
9mm.
No,
if I
30
remember
car.
right. No, you can't shoot suit. Sure, I can't even say it.
Well,
now.
wait till Federal wait till Federal puts a big ad in good old.
Why is there a 30 caliber overlay? Is that for rifle scoring? There's a 30 caliber
probably
circle on the overlays.
I'm sitting here looking. I'm sitting here looking for my cards. I don't have it on me, but
you imagine if you could get what you could get in a 140mm magazine of a 30 caliber bullet, you could probably get 26 or 27 in there.
And it's a 312. It's a .312 inch bullet, which is the exact same as the Tokarev bullet, right? It's not a 308. It's not a US 30 caliber. It's
the same thing.
It's the Chicom 30 caliber 312. Well, I mean, they got it. That's actually pretty smart. So,
yeah.
I mean, they could have gone either way.
Well,
let's be fair about it. I mean, I'm not inclined to like this round. I don't see a thing. But at some point in history, every single round that we now say is the round was probably having this conversation. Who needs a 45 ACP? That's like totally pointless. Why? I mean, like I got a 44 Magnum. I mean, stuff like that. I mean, at some point in history, somebody had to have this conversation, and time had to just prove itself out to say whether this was a valid cartridge or not. The Tokarev, it's an old. Sorry, that was not intended. The Super Carry, it's just kind of an old cartridge, like warmed over. So we're not really bringing anything new to it. But maybe we are, maybe we aren't. The question, though, is if you bought a gun that was chambered in 30 Super Carry, could you put Tokarevs into it?
If you had the reverse
Well, but Tokarev's a bottleneck case.
Oh,
right.
that's right. That's
You
right.
couldn't
It
do
is.
that, and that's and those things.
Damn them.
You could actually get some sort of AP ammunition out of those things on the bullet and the loading. The funny thing is like when you look at the Russians when they were making, when like the West was doing like the P90 and HK MP7, like 5.7 millimeter stuff, they're like, look, we're too poor to like make these kind of ammunitions. Like, what do we got? It's like, well, we got 9 millimeter. We got that kind of thing. It's like, okay, I'll tell you what we're gonna do. Make it a 65 grain bullet. Make it out of steel. And they go like, okay. And then they put like a barely copper jacket over it, and then like a little steel penetrator, and then you dump a bunch of powder behind it, and then you have a steel penetrating 65 grain bullet going at 1,400 feet per second, and then it'll punch soft body armor.
It does have pretty similar ballistics to the Tokarev, the bottleneck round. Now that I compare the two, they're in the same ballpark.
Yeah, it's disturbingly similar.
It's just that one's bottle. So, but the 30 Super Carry, you'll get an extra round because it's not bottleneck, straight walled. So you'll get, I don't know, 2-3 extra rounds per magazine.
Yeah, but it's not as good as a dog hunter as the Tokarev was. That's the funny thing. You got a bad dog in the neighborhood, tat, run off.
Remember that guy that lived way out in eastern Utah that bought a case of Tokarevs way back in the day? What was his name? He was a postman.
Yeah,
Dave something. He bought a case of Tokarevs, and he carried one for years. He'd carry it cocked and unlocked.
but he shot at
he shot
UDPL.
He shot a bunch of the state matches there, and he had an accident where his cocked and unlocked gun somehow hit the ground and shot him in the knee with the Tokarev round and just exploded his knee.
Oh.
And he might not be alive. I mean, this is 20 years ago. I knew this guy. He might not be alive anymore. He was a lot older than me. So,
wow.
Yeah, and he would take the Russian ammo, pull the bullet, and take because they just have FMJ bullets in them, and he'd put like a JHP of some sort, seed it, crimp it, and that was his carry ammo, and that's probably what shot him in the knee.
I was gonna say. I mean, that just sounds like a recipe for somebody that's gonna shoot themselves.
Oh, a cocked and unlocked Tokarev. God.
Oh, we need to start a company that just customizes Tokarevs.
But he said he got this case of these 48 Tokarevs. He said he got them for like $500. This whole case.
Wow.
He took them all out, and he said all but 2 of them shot. So he was like, "All right, I got 2 parts guns, 46 shooters."
That's the thing, man. If you could go back to like 1985 with today's knowledge, I would have a lot of automatic firearms.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Well, you'd have a lot of automatic firearms. The problem is you'd be like, all right, now how do I find these automatic firearms? And then you'd go to pull out your phone. You're just like, oh shit. Okay, phone book. No, the gun shop. Hey, do you know anybody who's selling?
Dave Boonder, that's his name. It just came to me.
Oh man,
he was fun to shoot with.
Well, that was a fun conversation. Next question.
How do you choose a local club to shoot most of your matches? Do you base it off the quality of the club, or the parent club, or a good local club, or USPSA with, or the sorry, I'm gonna start this over and just like cut this out. How do you choose a local club based on most of your matches? Do you base it on the quality of the club or off the parent organization, like good local a good IDPA local club, or USPSA with a very good local club?
I always thought that you would choose your local club based on proximity.
Yeah,
he must be in a situation where he's got choices.
I would rather shoot a good IDPA club than a poor USPSA club. If they're equal, I would rather shoot a USPSA club.
Yeah, and vice versa. I mean, the quality of the matches, I think, is probably first. And my personal preference is I would rather shoot IDPA or USPSA than just outlaw.
Yeah.
Or, God forbid, I shouldn't say it, but UML or USSL. I don't know what's wrong with me. I have a hard time stomaching that.
Let's see the games that I still am actually allowed to play. I'm going to USPSA.
Well, the other thing too is like a lot of it will be just what your friends are shooting. Like the people that you like hanging out with. Honestly, it's like you can shoot in like the shit league club, and it's like the rules aren't great, but like Dan's cool and Bob's cool, and
we get out there in the morning, we set it up, we have a great time, and it can be pretty fun. So it's
Yeah, that's actually really the big point. I mean, having people to come out and hang out with, because I mean, golly, USPSA is going through that right now. Where like people are like, oh, geez, like the national organization is not listening to the membership, this, that, and the other, and it's like, yeah, but once you get down on the local level, where everything really truly happens, that's where the matches are. That's where
People are
everybody
having a lot
actually
of fun.
cares. Yeah,
Just go and
I
have
mean,
fun.
nobody gives a crap about what's going on up at the national level. They just bunch of guys wanting to hang out with their bros, and that's pretty damn fun.
Yep. Absolutely. Oh, my favorite thing from the match yesterday is so like a couple of the newer shooters kind of shot first, and they it was a hoser stage, and so there's 4 targets, a barrier, 4 targets, a barrier, 4 targets, a barrier, 4 targets, a barrier, and these guys come up and like bang, 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 reload, walk over, bang, 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 and then Jared Stepp shows up, and it's like
Brat, brat, brat,
and like
brat.
transitions and splits, all the same reload transitions and splits. He's down to like a third the time, and they're just like, damn. And then the guy comes up to me after, and then I shoot it, and Robert shoots. He comes after me. He's like, so, what's like the best way to win? And it's like it seems like the best way to do is just like pull the trigger as fast as you can and go through. It's like you want to hit the targets as fast as you can. Like Jared Stepp's like an M class level shooter. Like he's gonna hit everything and move pretty quick. So like you want to kind of do both, but my advice is hit stuff as fast as you can. He goes, okay. And he goes, all right, now what's the first part of that advice? And he goes, hit stuff. I was like, correct. That's what you want to do. I told him, I was like, half the points and half the time is the same score. And he goes, okay. And he's like, right? It's like, yeah. He's like, okay. You still need to get points though. Get some points. But they were literally blown away at like just the pace of it. So
I mean, Jared blows me away.
Yeah.
I mean, he's so fun to watch shoot.
When it's your first match and you're sitting there going through like, okay, yeah, I think I did good. And then Stepp just sets up and it's just a machine gun trigger out of his duty Glock. It's pretty fun.
Well, that's the funny thing is the Glock, he was shooting slower yesterday because he had the duty Glock.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, the 2011. I mean, gosh, it makes it so easy to split that trigger fast. I mean, well, that's your problem, Tommy. Like you still have a duty, like essentially it's a duty trigger on that
correct.
Beretta. Mine's like, I don't know what it is. I haven't checked in a long time, but it's about 2 pounds, maybe a little less.
Yeah,
and so the reset is ridiculously short. If you know how much to move that finger, I mean, it decidedly helps to split the gun.
Yeah, I do not want to trigger that light. So
I didn't either until I had it, and then I don't want one any heavier.
I'm afraid of touching the gun off at that point. I will try to learn how to manipulate the trigger faster instead of lightening the trigger.
Well, so, what are your splits right now, if you were to guess?
And probably yesterday I was probably shooting at my fastest splits that I was shooting when I had a decent sized target. I don't know, 18, 20.
Yeah, I mean, so like 20 or 20 my average, and I'm regularly starting to bump into the 16s and 17s.
Yeah.
And I can tell you that a year ago this time, if I can tell you that I would have told you I could never shoot below a 20 split. I mean, I had that conversation with a lot of people to the point of like, it's really not that big of a deal to shoot less than 20 splits. I'm like, yeah, but I really want to shoot less than 20 splits. So you can absolutely do it.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, in some cases, just getting over that mental hurdle. And some people, I mean, they're so IDPA driven where it's like, shot, reset, confirm the site, shot, reset. And if you have that mentality, this is not a bad mentality. I'm just using it as a weird example. But if you have that mentality, then you almost have to like just show up at a match and say, I don't actually care where the bullets go. I mean, as long as they stay in the range, I'm just going to try and shoot this gun fast and just let him just hang it out there and see what happens.
Well, that's what kinesthetically is as far as like my hand and where I'm aiming the gun. I'll solve that problem first before I go add a mechanical solution to it. All right.
Oh yeah.
Next question.
SHOT Show is coming up. What would you like to see? What would make you spend money?
Springfield
primers at $25 a thousand, or 5,000.
Hell yes.
Yeah.
Hell yes.
New primer company coming out. It gets bought out by Federal, back to $70. That would be sweet. Springfield Army came out with its Hellion rifle, which is a Croatian bullpup, which is the VHS. Essentially, it's an updated FAMAS, which is kind of cool. That's pretty neat. That came out. Was it SIG brought out their new, essentially what's going to be the Army's new battle rifle. They're bringing out a civilian version of that. Wait 5 years and then you'll get one that works, and so that's pretty exciting.
On the plus side, I mean, if you drop it, it'll kill the enemy because it'll go off.
But only if you drop it on the back part of the butt will it go off.
Okay, quick interruption.
Sure.
38 9mm is minimum for production, probably minimum for all USPSA divisions. So, well, all handgun divisions.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
but
sorry, 30 Super Carry.
Yeah, but just wait. Federal's going to go talk to Jake Martins, and in about a month, you're going to see 30 Super Carry suddenly.
Front sight, 30 Super Carry, the new hotness. Yes.
Not allowed in major.
Well,
it'll happen.
I would. The funny thing is like they used to have the Mac 11, which was a 380 caliber like submachine gun, like something like that, like with the new 30 power super jazz carry. That would be kind of sweet. So, you know what we need more of at SHOT Show? Open bolt guns, even if the semi-automatic. We would like open.
We need a
open bolt
pistol
guns.
that fires from the open bolt.
We need a pistol that fires from an open bolt.
Would that be cool?
Oh, imagine the lawsuits. I just dropped the slide and it went off. I was like, that's how they work.
That's what we call a feature.
Load and make ready. Bam! You're all right. Unload and show clear.
Let's see. When do you think we'll know about the results of the in-person board meeting? That was there was a board meeting yesterday. We'll know it sometime later this week. How long will it be until Tom sells the Beretta Rodeo and buys an LTT?
I'm very happy with it. Besides the screw thing, the one thing too, it's kind of deceiving as far as like the height over the optic. So it presents very well.
It looks like about 4 inches.
Well, the funny thing is I grabbed the P320 Max.
Look, guess what the height over bore is on this?
I'm gonna say 1/4 of an inch.
I'm going to say about 0.35 splits.
Slower.
But the 320 Max, so if the 320 Max had a delta point on it, the delta point is the tallest optic out there. They are the same height. So it looks a lot bigger than it actually is, and it's not something that you have to sit there and get over. I'm quite happy with it. It ran like a champ. Shoots great.
I mean, it's a huge gun.
Beretta.
It only makes it bigger, so who cares, right?
Yeah. Well, this is the slightly shorter model.
You're putting a roof rack on a Suburban. Who cares?
Who cares? Exactly.
Let's see. Robert, if you had to choose between having only 4 of either gun, which would you pick for carry optics? A CZ Shadow 2 or Beretta 92 LTT Elite RDO? That's actually pretty easy. The Shadow 2. The Shadow 2, it's just a better gun. Just in terms of just pure tunability to make it.
Even untuned, you'd like them quite well just out of the box.
I've shot the Shadow 2 straight out of the box, and they're pretty dang good guns. They built themselves a good gun. You'd probably want to change the springs a little bit so that the recoil matched what loads you're putting through it. But
I mean, it is a purpose-built competition gun. It's very heavy. It has very good sights. It's extremely accurate.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I mean,
it's the Glock 34 of the hammer-fired gun world right now.
If you had to shoot outlaw matches in 3-gun, can you drop a decocker on the Shadow 2?
I would put the extended safeties and
just try to throw the safety up like a 20.
And just shoot it single action.
Yeah.
No, because you can shoot the gun and then just throw the safety on and then dump barrel it. Usually, what I did though in 3-gun was I would just drop the mag and then torch around into the berm and then dump the gun. It was legal.
But with a $1,500 Shadow 2, you're just gonna chuck that in a barrel?
Yeah.
Barrels are for Glocks.
I've got 3 of them. I don't really care.
And a 4th on the way?
Yeah, still looking at it. I might kind of want
Y-
to.
You're in negotiations with the wife.
She doesn't know about it.
Oh, okay.
It's gonna, hey Robert, what's this $1,500 charge for? Don't ask questions. No, that's a hard one because like
Prostitutes, I swear.
I think she'd be more comfortable than me buying another gun. No, that's funny. I actually have a slide that's still waiting to actually come back. I keep thinking ATI is going to send it back, but I'm not really holding my breath on that one. And so, let's see. Do we have any more? That was the last question.
Okay, awesome. Well, thanks for downloading, listening, and subscribing. Thanks for sharing it with your friends. Thanks for going to your match. Participate in your matches. Have fun. Help clean up. Help set up. Make it feel out of stage. I have made it my goal this week to reread the IDPA rulebook so that I can pass my SO certification before I plan my vacation so I can be off for the Utah State IDPA match, which I'm...
Oh, they are still doing that. I was going to ask you that. That's
Yeah, in
still a go.
October.
Yeah, in October.
October this year.
So
When in October is that?
I don't know.
it's sometime in there.
10th or 7th or somewhere. in there.
I think it's before Halloween. Doing all that jazz to be a good shooting citizen there. And for Robert White and Steve Koski, I'm Tom Nelson, bidding you peace, love, and soul as we depart into the open waters of the Sea of Life on a little boat we like to call the PARAcast.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Good night, everybody.
Okay. Let me...